No ID is meant for a sane audience. No ID may contain liberty-oriented content. Pinko discretion is advised. Now, here's No ID with Paul Banducci and Scott Moskowitz.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It's No ID, your North Idaho mainstream deconstruction. I am Scott.
Hello, Internet. I'm Paul. It's great to be here.
Alert.
What's up, everybody? How are you,
Right
Scott?
on cue. Right on cue. What alert was that one?
Alert! That was a successfully rolled a trade up and out that needed to be rolled because today the I don't know why yet. I'm embarrassed. I should know, but I've been busy doing other things like nursing my foot that just had a wound open up in it this morning. Well, something's happening out there in the world that is making the stock market super happy. Everything is up 5, 10, 15% after being just crushed for 5 weeks in a row. And so now some of the positions where I bet the other way, well, not bet, but I had to take a position that was the other way.
Yeah, not bet. Gambling's illegal in Idaho, dude. Come on.
Yeah, nope, never. I would never do it. No, but you actually, you can kind of sort of gamble, however much money you want in the stock market. That's okay. No big deal there.
That's different.
You can lose your house in the stock market, but Idaho doesn't care. It's only if you bet $5 in a poker game with your friends at your own house.
Then you're going to get investigated and raided.
Well, that's what ruins lives, don't you know?
All right, well, let's just get, Paul and I have to remember to just hit the record button earlier, like 10 minutes earlier than we do. We get into this habit of of doing the show for 10 minutes, like when we first connect on the thing here. And then we're like, oh, you know what? This is the show. Like we should have are we live?
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's a good sign that how much fun we have when we get together because we planned to meet at 10. We didn't get on until 10:08. And then we chatted for 14, 15 minutes about anything and everything. And then realized about 10 minutes into that, like we need to start the show because we're basically doing the show right now.
Complete with sound drops and everything. We're using our soundboards to go back and forth. Like, all right, let's just go already. Come on.
It's a beautiful thing, Scott. I love you. It's good to be here.
Let's start. Well, let's start with this one. This is the egregious government hypocrite of the week. I don't even know what the language. I can't find language to use that's strong enough for this week's absurdity coming from one of our leaders.
An Idaho Fish and Game commissioner is facing 7 hunting charges.
Brody Harshbarger is facing hunting-related misdemeanor charges following an investigation near the Spring Hollow boat ramp in Fremont County.
Now, according to reports, a tip from Citizens Against Poaching prompted conservation officers to look into allegations a Harshbarger and another man illegally shot 2 elk, including a 6-point bull found on private property.
Reports also say Harshbarger fired shots across Spring Hollow Road from the driver's seat of a pickup. An Idaho Fish and Game commissioner is appointed by the governor and helps oversee the Fish and Game Department, deciding what the rules are and how wildlife is managed across the state. Harshbarger has pled not guilty to all counts, and a pretrial hearing is scheduled for April 29th. The Idaho Fish and Game Office has no comment, as this is an active case.
Strangely enough, it was not easy to find audio for this story. None of the major network covered it. I really had to dig.
So this article was sent to me, I think the day it popped. And then
Me too.
I forwarded it along to you, and you laughed and said 3 other people had sent you the same article.
This one,
note that, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's perfect.
It means our listeners are paying attention.
Well, yes, and it's the type of thing that's really gonna click with our producers. It's just so freaking on the nose. Person who literally lives to restrict others from doing this thing is caught doing the thing.
It goes back to the shit you can't make up stuff we talk about, where it's the line between parody and reality is so thin you just don't even know anymore.
Yep.
But it's pretty typical. Now, of course, he pleads not guilty. I guess we'll see how that develops. We already know that he was, so he didn't. It is important to note, not to come to the man's defense, but he didn't do the shooting. What he's in trouble for doing is helping out a buddy do the poaching. So I don't know. I don't remember exactly what the charges were, but think of it as conspiracy to commit poaching is probably the best way I could sum it up. I think they nailed them for 2 or 3 different charges, but all of them involve helping somebody else illegally hunt, otherwise known as poaching. And then they also trespassed on somebody else's property to claim their illegally harvested elk, which, man, what a bummer. 6-point elk. Oof, that's a beauty.
Ugh.
But it does reveal the time-tested adage of rules for thee, but not for me. The man whose literal job is to prevent these sorts of things from happening. And he's out there helping his good old buddies to do the precise thing. Things you can't make up.
I don't remember the guy's name, and I'll make it quick, but I think he worked for the Nevada, like the gaming, not the gaming commission, or something thereabouts, the apparatus of the regulatory body for gambling, and he as like a data specialist or computer specialist, and this I believe was in the 80s, and he developed him. He was like, the Keno games, they're not really true random number generators. I'll bet I could build a little program that could, figure out the Keno. And so he did, and the very first time he's like, oh yeah, I think this model works, and he had his buddy, he went and basically like got a jackpot on the Keno. Like it is 6 o'clock in the morning. Like his buddy went and did it for him and hits like $120,000 jackpot. And he like takes it up to the window, and the lady like looks up at him like from behind her horn rim glasses and is like, I have never in 40 years you hit it like a jackpot. What? And then I think the mistake the guy made was he gave like a fake ID to the lady for the collection or whatever. And then it was investigated, and they caught him because he's the computer guy for the gaming commission. And so you see what I'm saying? And then he figured out the thing. And then he spent a bunch of time in jail.
The guy who's supposed to prevent that kind of thing.
Right. That's your job. And then I believe he spent a bunch of time in jail, and then out on the other side was back working with the gaming commission to try to spot fraudsters. Just something thereabouts. But like a lot of times in these instances, like the first place to look is the governing apparatus, because who are those people?
Well, they're just people. And that's something we've also talked about, going back to that principle. It's like, no matter what, wherever you go, if there are people, there are problems. And if people are so bad and so evil and so crazy and wild that they need to be governed, who are the angels who are going to do the governing? And that's what seems to continually get lost in the mix. Just because somebody is a legislator or a glorious chalupa supreme leader, or the president of your HOA or of the United States, it doesn't matter. People are people wherever you go. They're going to have the same impulses. They're going to have the same issues. Human nature is immutable. So the only thing you've done now, once we've set up this Leviathan state apparatus, is now you've just separated people into very distinct classes and groups and subgroups. And again, in a general sense, it's basically those with power and those with very little or none. And the power that the folks have who work in and for the government, state agents, their power is almost a monopoly backed by the force of a government gun. Whereas our power, us, the little people, what do we get to do? Every couple of years, we get to just choose our new glorious chalupa supreme leaders.
Well, and speaking of guns, we're going to move along to the firing squad story, but just as like a final thought, and how in particular with something like, involving like the Fish and Game Commission, there's also the part where this sort of stuff is what dashes the apparatus's credibility against the rocks. It's just proof that they don't believe what they tell us. Oh, if it weren't for this thing, then, because what we're trying to do is protect. We're trying to protect the water, the air, the fill in the blank. But then there's so many, like example after example continues to surface on account of the imperfection of humans, as you mentioned, that they don't actually even believe what they're telling us because they don't act it. And well, not all of them. Yeah, I know, but like the examples are numerous and constant.
On an individual basis, I'm sure there are a number of them who really believe in the cause, but at a systemic level, it's a sham and a scam, just like every other government thing ever, basically. Just by its very nature, that's how it has to be. But we're told, of course, they tell us, well, without us, it would be anarchy. It would be chaos. And without us, Who would stop people from poaching the 6-point elk? Who would keep the water clean? Who would blah, 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 when really these are the agencies that a lot of the time commit the atrocities themselves, or these are the people who will come and steal your pet squirrel that you've befriended and euthanize it because God forbid, somebody makes friends with nature. Calling all New York cops. I don't have any squirrels. Please leave me alone. But for reals, that's the stuff that happens. Like you see now. Here's a side story. You see people who post stuff on the interwebs and like, oh look at my pet squirrel or my pet porcupine or my pet whatever. I live here. The national forest is like right out my backyard, and I just made friends with this animal. And isn't that really cool? And the whole internet's like, ah. And of course, naturally, the government's response is, well, we'll kill that for you. Like we can't be having wild animals be domesticated. We can't be feeding wild animals because then they won't feed themselves. And then in the same breath, those people will be like, but welfare is a good thing.
So speaking of the barrel of a government gun.
A group of advocates and faith leaders are planning to gather to express their concerns about a potential new execution chamber in Idaho. Now, this comes as Idaho recently made firing squad the state's primary form of execution.
This new law that makes firing squad Idaho's primary execution method goes into effect July 1st. Several groups say they plan to gather for a press conference this week to share why they're against a new execution chamber that could soon be coming to Idaho.
Vocal fry warning. Vocal fry warning.
Building a new firing squad execution chamber, I think, is particularly cruel and inhumane.
Advocate?
You know what's cruel and inhumane? Well,
cruel and inhumane?
I warned you, though.
Her voice.
Are you for real, lady?
Building a new firing squad execution chamber, I think, is
the execution chamber like a comfortable couch and a TV, and you put on Netflix, and you have to sit next to her as she talks through the movie.
And inhumane.
Advocates, faith leaders.
It's cruel and inhumane, dude. Come on, man. Where's your sense of compassion?
I might file a lawsuit just for this podcast.
And inhumane.
Advocates, faith leaders, and a family member of a man executed by firing squad will deliver petitions and letters on Tuesday to companies they say are helping build a new execution chamber in Idaho.
We are trying to bring awareness that there are all of these corporations that are involved in this because these corporations are building schools and YMCAs and libraries and like all of the things that are a part of our communities.
Idaho recently made firing squad the state.
These people have made me hate the word community. Okay. I now officially hate the word rainbow. I hate the word community.
Yep.
Like I'm so black pilled. I don't even know where to begin.
You're a little behind the curve, though, dude. I learned how to hate the word community when Barack Obama was running his first campaign for president.
Yeah, community organizer.
He came out of the woodwork. You got it. Like the minute that became a buzzword, it was like, oh my gosh, thanks for killing yet another word that that used to have positive connotations, but now it just is code for highbrow meddler. Is all it is.
People
who can't leave other people alone.
For Obama too, they were like COMMUNIS delete UNITY.
I remember that first campaign too. Hope and change. It's like, and the unicorns are gonna sparkle, and the seas are gonna recede, and everything's gonna be better tomorrow. And then everybody woke up and went, huh. It feels the same. Actually, South Park did an episode on that. I remember. Leave me alone! I don't have any change. The change. Randy Marsh goes off and tells his boss to go fuck himself, and all the liberals are in the streets like, woo, change, and they're getting all drunk. Obama, yeah. And then the next day he's like, oh no, everything's the same. And then he goes into work and he gets fired because he told his boss off. He's like, no, it's not even the same. It's worse.
I hail from I was in the Bay Area. I lived in San Francisco proper at that time, and I assure you, it really did be like that.
Oh man, I bet. But back to the matter at hand. Here's what I think strikes me as maybe the funniest, the silliest, I don't know, the saddest. This gal is upset that the same corporations who have all the other contracts to work with the government to build, quote, build the schools, build the blah, 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 the hospitals, my schools, my roads, my berries with books, bird, are also the same corporations that, wouldn't you know it, build things that kill people. Weird. It's so weird. It's almost like corporations and government are essentially the same thing. They're basically glommed in with the Uniparty, the Democrats, the Republicans. Like they all are the same thing. They operate the same way corporations and government do. They're structured the same way. They have the same bureaucracy. They have the same career ladders. That's why there's so much back and forth between the two. Usually if you get beat in politics, you just switch over to the corporate scene. And then at some point when you've made enough money or you're the CEO of something, then you can slide back over into the political scene. And it happens all the time. Or do what a lot of them do, and you become a lobbyist. You lobby for a particular industry, and then at some point you become a representative or a senator. And then when you at some point lose your seat, you just go back into being a quote unquote consultant, that's what they like to call them, or lobbyist for the same industry. This is how hello. This is how this works. This is why I'm one of the gorillion reasons why I'm an anarchist and a libertarian. Like, dude, the fact that it's 2026 and this is a revelation to people, it still frustrates me because it's like, we have the internet. You can look all this up. You can see it all happening in real time. You retards. So this gal with vocal fry is big mad that the government and the corporations are all working together to build both schools and killy things. Who knew?
This is like the show title from a few shows ago. It's the Cartel Carousel.
Idaho recently made firing squad the state's primary method of execution after shortages of lethal injection drugs. A firing squad execution is carried out by a team of shooters who fire live rounds at a restrained inmate on death row. It's unclear if Idaho will use a live team of people or a remote-operated system. Several people say they plan to gather for a press conference on Tuesday to call on companies involved to not participate in building this new execution chamber, including the group Worth Rises.
The left-wing commie pinko group Worth Rises, which, of course, remember, whenever there's a political label omitted, it's a commie organization. And whenever it's to the right of Mao, they label it far-right, KKK, right-wing, alt-right.
Yep.
Group Worth Rises. I spoke with them ahead of this planned event.
One of the people who will be accompanying us on this protest is Randy Gardner, whose brother was shot by a firing squad. And when the autopsy reports came out, it became very clear that the people who were shooting deliberately off center. And so it took his brother a long time to die, and he essentially died from bleeding out.
In typical white lefty chick fashion, she feels the sympathy for the multiple murderer who was shot by a firing squad. I'd like to read to you who Randy Gardner is. He's the brother of the guy who was shot, anti-death penalty activist whose advocacy stems from the execution of his younger brother, Ronnie Lee Gardner, by firing squad in Utah in 2010. In 1984, Ronnie Lee Gardner, at 22 years old, murdered 33-year-old Michael Burdell, a lawyer, during a robbery in Salt Lake City. Burdell was killed during a failed attempt to get blah, blah, blah. And then in 1985, while awaiting trial for the Burdell murder, Gardner escaped from the Utah County Jail. During the escape, he took hostages and committed multiple additional assaults. And while attempting to escape during his trial proceedings, Gardner shot and killed a courthouse security guard and a taxi cab driver. The murder during the escape attempt is often cited as the most significant factor leading to the death penalty. It is for that individual that this chick feels sympathy and is devoting her, at least some of her time, if not her entire professional career, to activism on his behalf.
That's pretty typical. Yeah, no, it's it's called suicidal empathy is what it's called. Although I've also heard it as toxic empathy, but I think suicidal empathy is the way to go. And that is, it's not the exclusive realm of affluent white leftist women, but man, they do have the market cornered pretty hard on it. I mean, these are the people who will look you in the eye and tell you that we should bring in every single person into the country, whether they bring good stuff or bad stuff, it doesn't matter. We should bring them in and throw a blanket around them and give them everything. But also we're living on, like, there are no borders, but we're living on stolen land.
Ah, yes, land acknowledgement.
Yep. Western civilization is the worst, but that's why all of these people from everywhere else are trying to come to America, and we should give them everything, but at our expense and the expense of our children and our grandchildren. I mean, that's one example.
Where's Lee? I need that on my soundboard.
These are people who will sacrifice their children and their grandchildren on the altar of false senses of nobility. This gal is empathizing with a at least 2-time murderer and 5-time assaulter, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, how low can you go? I mean, the death penalty is a topic worth unpacking for sure. And I have mixed feelings about it for a number of different reasons, for sure. I also find it fascinating that they have to build a special chamber for firing squad. What can't you accomplish with just a firing range or just a spot out in the yard? Why do you need a special chamber for it that the taxpayers now have to foot the bill for? Also, if we wanted to unpack another aspect of this, the reason why the firing squad stuff came up, do you know why, Scott? Do you know why firing squad is now the #1 mode in Idaho?
I think it's because the lethal injection drugs were like, there was a scarcity or there was difficulty obtaining it for some reason.
Correct. And that's a national issue. Every state is having this issue, but it's intentional. This is intentional. It is well known and well documented that activist groups and activist corporations, and I don't have names, but you can dig into it further and you can look. It is happening. It is true. Have effectively placed their hands on parts of the supply chain because it's multiple components that all come together for the lethal injection method to work. And what they've done is placed their hands on a couple parts of the supply chain and then squeezed and made it so that some of the chemicals that go into the cocktail, if you will, are no longer being produced or are being produced at levels so low there's not enough to go around, and the states cannot get the supply of it to use lethal injection. And that is all by design. That is intentional. And of course, as usual, unintended consequences, states who have the death penalty aren't going to just be like, oh, well, I guess that means no death penalty anymore forever. No, instead they're going to be like, all right, well, what else can we do? Duh. And so in Idaho, because we love our guns, well, I mean, there's no shortage of bullets. Bullets are expensive, but lots of them out there. So that's the way we went in Idaho. So this gal who's all pissed off about them building a new chamber for the firing squad doesn't connect the dots that it's her own ilk who are the reason Idaho is pursuing the firing squad.
This is classic tactics. It's the same thing as you make the appeals process 80 billion years long, and then you point to like, oh, the process takes so long and it's so expensive. That's why we can't do it. So they're just anti-death penalty.
Yeah, man. And the death penalty, so 100%. We could sit here and unpack the death penalty as a philosophical and ideological, a political issue all day long, and maybe we'll do that someday. But there are cut and dry scenarios, circumstances, cases where it's just like, what are we doing here? And when you mentioned this one that they've brought up in Utah, you notice the crimes were committed in like the late 80s, early 90s, and he finally was executed in 2010.
Yeah, it was the mid 80s. Yeah, it is insane. Yep. Yeah, because this is the thing.
And that's also on purpose.
That's what I'm saying. That's the mechanics of the actual carrying out of the punishment. So they mess with the mechanics, and then they point to the mechanics not working as a reason that we can't do that.
Correct. It's the same. It's the age old thing about like what they did with NIC and like what the North Idaho Republicans do with every institution here, the NIR. So when I say North Idaho Republicans, I'm referring to the organization known as the NIR, which actively works against the conservative wing of the Kootenai County Republicans. The NIR are rhinos, Republicans in name only. So I always got to make sure I'm clear about that for anybody who's tuning in just now. So the NIR, the North Idaho Republicans, they do that with every institution up here. NIC, the libraries, anytime conservatives actually gain a foothold of control on any of the boards and begin changing some policies, typically for the better and to the benefit of the taxpayer, as it should be, then what they do is they metaphorically and literally pull fire alarms, set fires, do all kinds of stuff, wave their hands, submit complaints, threaten accreditation, and then actually submit complaints to get accreditation, threaten it. They basically light the house on fire, and while it's burning down, blame the people inside of it.
I want to do, it just occurred to me, I'd like to do an on-the-fly Ask Paul.
Here comes the question. Big or small, make your guess before we call. The game begins. It's Ask Paul.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Now like I said, I did not plan it. The state of Idaho has carried out how many executions since 1976? And I say 76 because that was the year. Yeah, that was the year of, there was sort of a restart of the death penalty laws in the U.S. because the Supreme Court made a bunch of it was arbitrary sentencing. I don't need to go into it, but that there was some landmark Supreme Court stuff in 76. So since 76, how many has the state of Idaho carried out?
I would say, so I don't know, but knowing what I do know about the process and Idaho's population and a couple of high profile cases that I am aware of, I would put between 76 and now, that's 50 years. I would put the number at somewhere in between 6 and 12. So I guess I'll split the difference and say like 8.
The North Idaho NAACP judge is dancing a jig. He's so excited that you blew this one to high heaven. Not even close. 3.
Oh, not even close.
Not even close. Only 3. 3. So this entire thing, we don't.
Those are rookie numbers. We got to bump those up.
That's the thing. Idaho doesn't do it in the first place.
No, we really don't. I mean, I knew we didn't, but dang. How
do you like that?
I thought 8 was a pretty fair number. Look up the Duncan case in the early 2000s. That's an example of how justice is not served. That's a dude who killed a whole family, left 2 kids alive, kidnapped them, did horrible things to both of them, killed one of them, and there was only one survivor at the end of it all. And I don't think she's alive anymore either. I think she actually committed suicide a few years later. And that dude spent 20, almost 30 years on trial for it. Because they were seeking the death penalty.
Oh, this is the one out by Wolf Lodge.
He died
right?
of cancer. Yep. Yeah, he died of cancer before they could execute him, if memory serves.
Yeah, I do remember.
So they never even got around to it, and it was like 30 years.
Yeah. Let's see. He was convicted. Just for those of you who haven't heard of it, 2005 Idaho murders and kidnappings committed by Joseph Edward Duncan III.
Sorry, 20 years.
Yeah, good, close enough. Even the North Idaho NAACP guy is nodding. So yeah, you got that one. May 16, 2005, Duncan entered a rural home just outside Coeur d'Alene after staking it out for days. The night vision goggles, just crazy. It's out of a horror movie. In the home, he was like on a hillside, like staking out this like little homestead, I guess. And then he eventually made his way in the home. He bound and murdered 3 people, the mother, the 13-year-old son, and the boyfriend, zip ties, duct tape, and bludgeoned. Oh yeah, I can't keep reading this.
It hurts me. Yeah, it's rough.
Okay, so anyway, he spent years on federal death row. He waived appeals at times, and courts held multiple competency hearings to confirm the waiver was valid. He ultimately died in custody in 2021 from stage 4 brain cancer before the execution could be carried out.
So 16 years, that dude, and they still hadn't even gotten to, I think the final verdict where it was like, yep, okay, we're going to kill you now. They never even got there. And this one was so cut. I mean, this was as cut and dry as it gets. It was all like, yeah, this is the guy. He's admitted to it. All the evidence points to this guy. There's all the different connections. I mean, it's just like case shut and closed, and murdered at the end of it all 4 people. 2 of them basically children, and then the one survivor just, it's a legal system, not a justice system. And then these people that we're talking about today, fighting and whining and crying about this new kill chamber being created. I mean, my God, how many different ways we could sit here and unpack this and just this 12 different ways all day. Reason number 11 billion and 1 why I am a libertarian anarchist.
No kidding.
All so messed up. And at the end of it all, this, people, the NPCs and people who can barely rub 2 brain cells together just go, yeah, but without my government, who would protect us from the bad guys? Who would protect us from the poachers? Dude.
Okay. This Duncan thing makes me want to throw up. Let's just finish this clip.
Long time to die, and he essentially died from bleeding out.
When this firing squad bill was being debated on the House floor back in 2023, some lawmakers who were for it said it was a way to make this as, quote, quick and professional as possible while still trying to uphold the death penalty. And in a release from the Idaho Department of Correction last year, they said the F Block execution unit at the state's maximum security prison was going to be updated for firing squad executions, with construction expected to take 6 to 9 months. We reached out for an update on that, but we have not heard back. Advocates say 2,000 people have signed a petition and about 30 faith leaders have signed a letter asking for companies involved to not be a part of this.
Yeah, Subaru, can you guys stop making attack helicopters for the military? Because your commercials on TV say your cars are made with love. So if you could just stick with the love cars and stop making, assault weaponry for the military, that'd be really terrific. Signed, the American left.
See, that's where you're wrong, man. Like you make those attack helicopters with love, because we all know love hurts. Or as my dad used to say, you only hurt the ones you love.
All right. I wish I had
Subaru. If you are going to make attack helicopters like that, could you give old Sheriff Norris a call? I think he's in the market.
I wish I had something with. You know what? Here, this is levity. The No Kings people protesting down at the Idaho Capitol. I count this as levity. This is going to be a bunch of comedy gold in here. Get ready.
Here at the Idaho State Capitol, where Saturday another No Kings protest took place, I asked Idahoans why they came out and the changes they're hoping to see across Idaho and the country.
Get ready. Get ready with the lead. And
what do we want? No kings. How do we get it? Vote for other kings.
Just to do a mainstream media thing, in the days leading up to it, every single network was doing promotion. Hey, coming up this Saturday, guys. Saturday. So now if we were seeing that for like Raising Cane's or the Coeur d'Alene Casino, what would we assume that was?
Well, Scott, we would assume that was a faux grassroots, but actually paid promotion. And what do you call them? Natural?
Native
There's a word
ad.
you use. Thank you. Native ads. Yep. And what's interesting about that, so it's awesome that you bring that up, is the odds are squarely 50-50 that it's one or the other, or maybe the odds are 100% that they're both. A little bit of both.
Oh, yeah. Calling all patriots.
A sea of signs and voices filled the Capitol steps Saturday as thousands of neighbors from across the Treasure Valley came together for another No Kings demonstration.
It's neighbors in the community.
Community.
Came together for another No Kings demonstration.
All members of the community across Idaho are turning up to show that we are able to hold government accountable and that we won't take the assault.
Yeah, is this from 2020? Oh no, it's from yesterday.
Kind of the assault on not only working class families but constitutional rights and protections.
Oh yeah, remember how much they love the assault on working class families and the Constitution? Anybody remember? Anybody? Pepperidge Farm?
Oh, Pepperidge Farm remembers.
And not only working class families but constitutional rights and protections.
The No Kings rally is part of a nationwide push against what organizers say is unchecked presidential power.
And to me, I think No Kings means that the people get to decide, that it's the people's decision and not one person in power.
I was a old school Republican.
What? These are the people.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
I don't think they're so sure about that. Or maybe I should say they're too sure about that.
They're positive.
You ever heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect?
I sure have.
I figured, but I thought it was more fun asking it question style. This is, I think, a version of that. These people really have no clue what they're talking about, and the intellectual consistency is zippity-doo-dah. The ideological and philosophical consistency is also zilch, but they speak with such enviable confidence in what they're saying. Like, they're so sure about what they think they believe while not connecting the dots on how far apart they actually are from what they are saying versus what they do versus what they believe is wild. It's wild. It should be on the Nature Network because it's so wild.
And here, spotted in the wild in its natural habitat, is the American unself-aware communist.
I was a old school Republican. I raised $100,000 for H.W. Bush's campaign in '88.
Oh,
I see this country.
That tells us exactly what we need to know about you. Wait. I was a big government Republican in the late 80s, early 90s. A big government Republican. I raised lots of money for the big government Republicans, and now I'm a big government Democrat.
Prepare to hear my credentials, reporter lady.
I was a
speaking of breaking down the mainstream, Scott, this is a tactic. This is actually a classic tactic, particularly in Idaho, that they use because Idaho having the more, blood red conservative aura about it, which actually isn't that true. It's not that true.
It's sort of true, which puts us leaps and bounds ahead of all the states where it isn't. The opposite is screamingly true.
Well, it's all relative. It's like, you have you have 2 glasses of water and one has 50% piss and one has 90% piss. Okay. Yeah. One's better than the other. But in Idaho, this is a very classic tactic that the NRI, the North Idaho Republicans, use all the time, where people who are true blue Democrats, leftists, but one time they voted for a Bush. This is how they do it. And then the media, the mainstream media, gives these people a platform because of the dynamic of the state, where they're like, look, see everybody, this person used to be a good Republican and now they've switched. What's wrong with you for not switching? Et cetera, et cetera. It's a tactic, and it can be effective at times. It's dirty and it's disingenuous, as all of their tactics are. But here it is, right here, breaking down mainstream media. This is a tactic.
I was a old school Republican. I raised $100,000 for H.W. Bush's campaign in '88. But when I see this country not respecting the Constitution, we have to do something about it.
For many, the message is about checks and balances and the change they want to see in America.
A main change that I'd like to see is...
When Bush Sr. didn't respect the Constitution, it was cool. I raised $100,000 for him. I mean, what was that? Let's see, 88 to 92 was H.W. Bush. So 24 years. So for the last 24 years, we've definitely been respecting the Constitution. It's only now, right now,
34
years,
to
take a stand because you're right. Paul can't math. Because for almost as long as I've been alive, I'm 37. Yeah. The Constitution somehow has been intact until now.
Right, totally. And where was I in 2020 exactly? I was triple masking my 5-year-old.
A main change that I'd like to see is less arrest by ICE, or at least less illegal arrest in courthouses and trying to trick people into opening their doors, or people...
Just arrest non-illegals then, please. No, don't arrest the legals, but please arrest non-illegals.
I'm against ICE. Had you ever heard of ICE before 5 minutes ago? I'm against ICE.
Trying to trick people into opening their doors, or people quite literally dying over ICE.
And attendees say Saturday's large crowd stood out compared to previous demonstrations.
So I'm pretty excited to see it's going all the way down to the street.
And looking at the turnout today, I think it's pretty obvious people are tired. They're tired of the status quo. They're tired of their current leadership.
Concerns at the rally range from immigration enforcement to international conflict, government spending, budget cuts, and military action in Iran.
We don't get the truth from this administration, and we, the people, deserve a voice from our government, and we deserve to be heard.
And some feel the issues the country is facing hit close to home.
So we have long roots in Idaho.
The NPCs are mad.
The state of Idaho.
Oh, they are so mad. Yeah. They really have a clear sense of what government overreach is. Yep, and here they are in the streets.
This is like the one of my favorite quotes ever in a movie, from a pretty good movie too. Solid entry in the history of movies. Gladiator. I mean, obviously it's historical shite, but it's a great movie. And Rome is the mob. The mob is Rome. I mean, these people are NPCs. We're mad. Why? Because my Constitution, and I don't like ICE, and government should be a voice of the people. Okay. Like, because it's ever been those things to begin with? Like you people are
and
NPCs. You're
not-
mad
not
because you've been told to be mad.
Yeah, you've been algoed into it. And not only has it always been those things, but when everyone's lifetime's most egregious examples of government totalitarianism flared up 5 years ago, you all cowered in your houses because you thought the air was dangerous.
Or sided with it.
Or
most of those people who are at the No Kings
Definitely.
protest right now. So here's the deal. Like quick 10,000 foot view here. I guess at this point, if anybody doesn't know me well enough on this podcast, I guess now's the time to get to know me a little bit. And Scott, I think he shares most of this as well. They're not wrong at the 10,000 foot view where like the Trump administration has been a disaster, an absolute disaster. Trump 2.0 is the hottest of hot garbage. You know, I had high hopes for it. I didn't vote for him. I haven't voted for a Republican or a Democrat president since I voted for Bush Jr. the first time. And I was just coming out of high school and transitioning from being a neocon, because that's what my parents were, to then becoming a libertarian light, then real libertarian, then a hardcore libertarian minarchist, and then an anarchist, which I am now. But after, since then, it's the uniparty. They're the same thing. Trump 1.0 was a slight surprise positive. I had hoped Trump 2.0 was going to build on some of that, especially with deregulation at the federal level. He had surrounded himself with a few more libertarian-minded people. But then as soon as they won in 2024, I mean, the Doge stuff, that was super exciting. And I guarantee you these No Kings people hated the Doge stuff because, God forbid, we don't give $40 million to studying whether or not beavers have penises or vaginas. What irks me is that these people are so hypocritical about it because, there have been a number of unnecessary deaths due to very aggressive illegal immigration enforcement policies. And there are some significant flaws with the execution of what ICE has been doing. And it's targeted. They're targeting blue cities, but of course, blue cities are the sanctuary cities. So I get, where else are you going to go, first off, to implement your policies? But it is intentional politically too. You're trying to punish blue cities. You're trying to prove a point. You're trying to be aggressive. And also that's where most of the illegals are. So it makes sense. But the way they've gone about it have led to some unnecessary deaths. It's true. The communication, garbage. It's true. The Iran conflict, war, whatever you want to call it. Technically, we haven't declared war. So, a policing action is probably the best term for it. Or Israeli shield, we could just say, since we're, again, fighting on behalf of a little nation state that actually hates us. That's also a good point. I'm against that shit. It's crushed the markets. It's going to cause shortages of crops, shortages of pharmaceuticals. The Strait of Hormuz is kind of a big deal. War is bad for prosperity. War is bad for commerce. Unless, of course, you make killy things or work for companies that make killy things. Then, of course, you're doing great. You're doing just fine. So these people have points in a vacuum, valid points. Why we can't take them seriously is because they are the biggest hypocrites on planet Earth.
Yeah, they don't actually believe anything they say.
They want no kings.
Yeah.
They do not. They think they do, but they think they do. They think they are intellectually consistent. You can't look us in the eye and call your movement no kings when you very, very, very much want a king. You slobbered all over Biden, who fashioned himself a gray-haired dictator. You slobbered all over Fauci, who was a gray-haired dictator, and so on and so forth. So it's not no kings. It's not your king. It's also like that gal that they interviewed that you put on the podcast a few podcasts ago about Iran, and she goes basically like, "Oh, I'm so excited that this dictator has been killed. I can't wait to bring back the king, the Shah."
Yeah,
okay. You people aren't for freedom either. You just want the king to be who you picked. So I'm laughing the hardest at these no kings. I make fun of conservatives all the time, even true blue conservatives, because they still are terrible on certain topics, but they're better on, again, 30% piss versus 50% piss. But I'm giving these no kings people, it's no mercy because they're the worst of the worst. They side with the Empire in Star Wars. They are the Cardassians or the Borg. They are the Borg in Star Trek. Like, they are the first district in Hunger Games complete with the blue hair and everything.
But when they look in the mirror, they see Luke Skywalker or who's the chick who screwed Harvey Weinstein? Lawrence, Jennifer
which
Lawrence.
one?
Lawrence, the Hunger Games. They see they see the hero who's fighting the power.
Yeah, well, and they think that's me. I'm that person, and then they go out and they vote for and root for and cheer on and sympathize with, empathize with, and rationalize and support and defend the bad guys, the state, except for when the glorious Chalupa supreme leaders are not the precise ones that they themselves chose. Then I've got a problem. They don't have a problem with the apparatus. They have a problem with who's running the apparatus.
And they actually don't even have that. They just have what the algo told them to have. Let's finish this clip.
If IRS agents were banging down our doors and extracting more money from us and flashbanging our babies in their cribs and leaving our lives in tatters, these people would have nothing to say about it.
Here's the last part of this retarded nonsense.
Hit close to home.
So we have long roots in Idaho. We love the state of Idaho, but it's very sad to see
You could have just stopped at the state, but okay.
The state of Idaho, but it's very sad to see what's happened here.
I have 4 kids,
The state.
and I'm a teacher, and my kids deserve better. This isn't the America
Shocker.
I hope that I get to raise my kids in.
Won't somebody please think of the children?
I'm a teacher. Yeah, we know. We understand.
Yeah, we know. Yeah. How many of your kids have you already tried to transition, you sociopathic freak?
Let's do one final quick one here before we take our mid-show breather, because we have a few things to get to in the value for value segment. So I think we'll just keep it super short. Here is
I have this real quick at the end. I meant to play this, and then sometimes you're so fast, and I'm so slow.
I'm your king. Well, I didn't vote for you.
Okay, thank you. Extremely important contribution from Paul Soundboard. Thank you so very deeply.
Slow, but effective.
Here is a follow-up. The deal for Silverwood has officially closed.
Hirsch Family Entertainment Corporation has completed its acquisition of Silverwood Theme Park and Boulder Beach Water Park. Now, this follows the signing of an exclusive term sheet that was announced, you may remember, back in November. Silverwood has been operated by the Norton family since 1988. The 2026 season begins coming up May 2nd and will still offer the same experiences known to guests, like the Night of the Stars, Coaster Classic, and of course the favorite, Scarywood. Hirschen says it's committed to transparent communication with hosts, guests, and the local community as this transition
There's that
does
word
move
again.
forward.
Blah 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 blah. There's just like the corporate boilerplate that the corporation has issued a statement that ChatGPT wrote and sounds exactly like every other corporate statement you've ever heard in your entire life. Here we go. Community.
Community. Cha-ching, community. Cha-ching, community.
And the local community.
Speaking of cha-ching, this ridiculous program that if you're still listening to, I don't know, I thank you or my condolences, or I don't really know what to say, but in any case, whatever it is, it runs on value for value. Value for value is our model. That is why there are no ads on this show. There's no native ads. There's nothing we're trying to sneak into you in the form of a clip. We're trying to pretend it's something we're just covering, but it's actually an ad. Like, we're not doing any ads on behalf of like Idaho's new firing squad, the execution center. Like, yes, it's being built by General Dynamics. Yes, General Dynamics. We're Paul and Scott. Like, none of that crap.
But if we were doing an ad on a new kill chamber, I would definitely be excited about that.
Shut up and take my money.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's state money. You know that there'd be, and then you know what? If we ever got the amount of money we were being paid for the ads, cut by 2%, we could just throw an ever-loving fit. How can you expect our show to function on only 98% of our ad revenue? You're killing people.
You're literally killing Scott and I.
I mean, these cuts are killing people. Literally.
No, we don't do any of that. There's no sponsors. There's no ads. We run on value for value. That is a very simple model. And what it means is that we, as a sponsor-free program, try to bring you value with our show. Every Thursday, a new episode comes out. We cover the ridiculous nonsense that goes on in the state of Idaho. And we try to provide infotainment, which is a term, you know what, I think I'm going to cut that out. I really hate it. Information and entertainment at the same time about what goes on in your state.
I just want, okay, I guess if you're going to edit that out, but if not, I'm not with him on that one.
Yeah, no, I hate it. I don't even know why I said it. It's pathetic. I got algo.
Yeah.
That's
Scott
what happened.
acted unilaterally on that particular thing.
The algo works. The algo works, dude. I've seen it and heard it enough times that we're like, there you go. I do have at least some NPC in my brain, and it just came flying out of my mouth. And for that, I'm sorry.
You are forgiven.
Okay, thanks. So anyway, yeah.
All you got to do, though, to be truly forgiven is donate to the show, Scott.
I donate to my own show. Perfect. That's like, I remember one time I used the company credit card to buy a round of beers for someone, and the other partners were like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I don't know. Buying some beers for fun." Anyway, you don't do that, dude. You don't take. You don't. And I was, I'd had a few beers when I made the decision, so you'll forgive me. It was part of the business model. Anyway, so if you find this program to be valuable, then we ask that you contribute value back to the show. And you can do that with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Time and talent are contributions of any kind that take one or both of those things. Taking the time to make show art, send in audio clips, send in articles that you think we should cover, like the bunch of people who sent in the Fish and Game Commissioner poaching story. That is a form of value returned, keeping us at the front of your mind and sending stuff our way when you see it. A huge value returned is word of mouth, is telling people about the show. Maybe the biggest of non-monetary value return one can engage in. That's how shows
We
grow.
really appreciate that. Please and thank you.
Then there's the treasure portion, which is sort of self-explanatory, hopefully, but it is monetary contributions to the show. That is major value returned, needless to say. At noidshow.com, there are buttons to do all of this. There's a contact button at the bottom of the webpage. There are also buttons for various forms of monetary value returned, PayPal and Venmo, and etc. There is also the option to just give us cash in person, which one of our executive producers this week, Jack Cramer, did exactly that yesterday. He slapped $20 into my hand, cash money, and he wrote in a note and said, "I'm only a white Jack, so here's $20. Just in case you're not following, he's a white guy named Jack, and he shorted us $1 on his blackjack donation.
You know what? Yeah. Way to go, Jack. Thank you, Mr. Jack Cramer. I appreciate both the schmeckles and the tacky humor.
Here, and there's a final to add to the tackiness, a final sign-off from Jack's note. He says, "For Paul," in all capitals, "but my roads."
God bless you, Jack Cramer.
I'll take you down there for 25 schmeckles.
25 schmeckles? I don't know how much. I don't know what that is. Is that a lot?
Schmeckles.
This week's other executive producer, it is a $9.99 Shiny Schmeckle donation.
All right, Shiny Schmeckle.
From the CryptSlapper of Coeur d'Alene. And the CryptSlapper says, "A shiny schmeckle from the shadowed coffers of the CryptSlapper to the No ID show. It's a modest offering, but may it keep your noble efforts shambling forward. Spend it wisely or unwisely. I approve either way. From the CryptSlapper of CDA." There you go. The shiny schmeckle donation rearing its head once again.
Much appreciated. Well, we definitely appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. And while you may consider the offering humble, we very much appreciate it. And your puns were anything but humble, and I appreciate that as well.
And to Paul's point, value returned, at least is whatever value means to you. And for the monetary stuff, we do love numerology. We love the, blackjack donation of 21, or the, the row of ducks, 22222, et cetera, or whatever any numerology means to you. So value means lots of different things to lots of different people. So whatever you consider to be valuable for how much value you think you got out of our show, only you can determine that. So please go to noidshow.com to become an executive producer or otherwise contribute value back to our program. And before we do second half of show, what do you say we read Joy's note?
Yeah, well, that's I think how we can kick off the second half of the show, because I promised her we'd take some time on it.
Okay, then I'll wrap the value for value segment and say one more time, noidshow.com. Thank you very kindly to everyone who has contributed, and in advance for those who plan on doing so.
noidshow.com, noidshow.com.
Yes, here we go with second half of show, and let's start with Joy. No.
Okay.
Yep. No.
I was going to say maybe we don't use her full name.
Well, usually, all right, fair enough. I will edit that.
Well, we could call like Joy B or JB or just Joy or something like that. Because my thought is she shared some things with us, and I don't know if she wants her name connected.
Okay,
like her full
that's
name
fair.
Connected, all that. Maybe she doesn't care. I don't know.
Okay. Well, now I
assume you're going to edit this.
I
part
will.
out
So,
of the-
I won't edit this whole thing. No, I want people to hear what we're saying, but I will edit out the last. So what you just heard was me on the live show. I did say her last name, but I cut it out for this final product here. And so the reason that I had said it initially was usually I feel like if people don't want that, they should say it in their note. Like and we have gotten notes before that have, keep me anonymous. So because Joy didn't say that, that's why I said it. But that's fair. I'll err on the side of anonymity. But generally speaking, I will use names unless you tell me not to going forward.
Sure. Well, why don't we just go with Joy?
Okay, fine. Fair enough. In any case, here's Joy. Joy says, "Hi, Scott and Paul. I'm currently on episode 11 as of 25 March. If this question is answered in the following episode, sorry, you've brought up Medicaid multiple times. While I agree with you, I'm faced with a different reality. My oldest is special needs. He's 23, and he has moderate to severe intellectual disability. Even though we were advised when he was 2, we've never collected state or federal money in the form of Medicaid or SSI. We've put him through every therapy available. His last major service was Project Search from the Coeur d'Alene School District. This is an internship program for high school graduates of the Living Skills program, and it runs for a full school year. He did get a part-time job out of it, but he was fired after only 2 months. He works for a friend of ours' moving company part-time, maybe 1 or 2 times a week. He lives at home and is under our health insurance. What would you suggest we do? I have started Medicaid insurance so far, and I am appealing a denial of SSI benefits. The best future for him to be independent is living at a group home with supervision, and if he works, have a job coach. We are not rich. We do not want to live on the system. But what do you do when your adult child who functions at the maturity of a 10-year-old? I want to be fiscally intelligent, but I'm not seeing other options for him, especially when we pass and can no longer take care of him. Thanks, Joy."
So first off, I thought that was really great of Joy to email this into us, because she does bring up some good conversation pieces and some good points. It's a very empathetic situation. So first things first, I think it should be noted that, and I don't know if I've done a good job of distinguishing it, but the big beef, as we've discussed Medicaid over the last few podcasts, has been the Medicaid expansion that took place in Idaho about, I want to say 5 years ago now. And that has been at the center of the legislative battles this year, and I think last year, because the expansion of Medicaid into whole new programs and hundreds of millions of dollars more is the primary issue. And the expansion of Medicaid came along with opening up the rolls to a lot more people, most of whom, the vast majority of whom, are able-bodied people who can work. And that's the big beef coming from the conservative or even the libertarian side. Now, I will admit that as an anarcho-capitalist, I don't believe any of it should exist. And it sounds like Joy would agree too. In a perfect world, that stuff doesn't exist or doesn't have to exist, and they don't want to be on it. But there is an important distinction that we've been specifically talking about, and that's Medicaid expansion. That's where it has allowed a lot of able-bodied people, young and middle-aged, to just not work. And that is a massive issue. Now, and in a perfect world, or if you could say in Paul's world, what would that look like? Well, in Paul's world, there were safety nets. It was the church. It was the community. And when I say community, I mean it in like the actual right way. Your neighbors, your family. That's why multi-generational setups were the norm for 10,000 years. You would raise your kids. They'd have kids. There'd be 2, 3, sometimes even 4 generations nearby on the same 100 acres, or even in the same house, or on the same homestead, or at least in the same town. And that was a big part of the support system as well, which is also why in the last 100 years there's been a massive move, psyop almost is the right term, to destroy the multi-generational family, which they did by about the World War II era. They destroyed it. And then to destroy the nuclear family, which they have managed to do by about the late 90s, early 2000s, before anybody even knew it had happened. So now there's no family support structure, and people our age, I'm a millennial, Scott's a millennial, are having so few kids, and we're so conditioned to then look to the state for our safety net. But that's not how it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be multi-generational support, buoyed or buffered or supplemented by your church community, your neighborhood community, and then nonprofits and private organizations, et cetera, et cetera. All of that worked together to form the safety nets for the people who truly, truly needed it. Because we as individuals do a better job of charity just by sheer natural human instinct and human nature. We do a better job of charity individually, because then I get the opportunity to assess the situation, assess what's going on, and directly use my own money to the best effect to help somebody, or my time, or my resources, or my goods, my services, what have you. It's a much more efficient way of doing it. It's a much more personal way of doing it, and it's having skin in the game. Whereas voting to create a program that's essentially a jobs program for administrators to then administer welfare, where 40 cents on the dollar doesn't even get to where it's supposed to go, or 80 cents on the dollar doesn't get where it's supposed to go, but it's a big Leviathan state apparatus that does it. Oh, and the fact that we don't get to choose where the help goes. We don't get to see how it works or if it works. Auditing these things is a nightmare. The whole thing is a farce. But while it exists, Joy, you actually are the demographic this is supposed to work for. And you're noticing it's not working for you, and you're being denied anyways. Meanwhile, there are plenty of able-bodied people who are on the system and bankrupting it. There are a lot of fixes that should be made to this, and things that should be cracks that should be sealed up. And anytime that's even attempted, we're literally killing people by trying to tighten things up and be like, no, we're just supposed to be reserving this safety net for those who truly, truly need it.
Literally.
So, literally.
Yeah. So the TLDR, like, to sum it up, basically, Joy, what are you supposed to do? What you're doing. You are who this is designed for. Given that we are in the reality we're in, and we're not in Paul's utopia, even though maybe Paul and I wish we were, even the part where you are sort of wringing your hands about it and you're like, oh God, I really don't want to be doing this. That's exactly what we should be looking for in people being assisted by these programs. It's
you would be the person, Joy, that I would say, even though I don't agree that this stuff exists, okay, it exists. You're the person who should be helping with it.
Well, exactly. And it's the morbidly obese chick on the picnic bench, mad that she can't buy candy and soda for her mom, or like not even mad, confused or entitled, or the last thing that chick has ever or will ever do is look in a mirror and be like, oh man, I really don't want to be on this stuff.
Maybe I should get a job.
Hopefully
Meanwhile, what you guys are doing is trying to build a stable future for your son who has actual real world impediments. And you are trying to do your due diligence and be as responsible of parents as you can be. And there is a system there in place for such situations. That's precisely what it's there for. Now, again, yeah, in my quote unquote utopia, it's not a utopia, by the way. Anarchists don't believe in utopia. We understand human nature better than anybody. That's why we
Hey,
hate
you're
the
right.
government.
It's a stupid word.
And
I take it back.
yeah, nothing is like we're the first ones to tell you that human nature is immutable. Nothing is perfect. There is no perfect solution. There's only trade-offs. So it's not a utopia, but I think we would find that if we were unshackled by the state in all of the different ways the state crushes us, and it really does, and we can't even see even remotely close to the damage, the miles and miles and miles of damage that's done by the state of things that just don't happen because of the state, resources that aren't there, money that hasn't been, wealth that hasn't been created. But if the state got out of the way, we would live in a world where like wealth would be significantly increased across the board. Everybody would be free to do as they please with what they have. And there would be endless organizations, churches, individuals, people, businesses, and the family units would still be more cohesive, and all of that would form a safety net. Perfect? Definitely not. Effective when it works? Absolutely. And it would be there. Actually, as an example, if I may, I actually just got an email from our church. We go to Cabinet Mountain Calvary Chapel in Clark, just outside Clark Fork. Wonderful church community in the actual sense of community. And they are very active in the community. One of the things we love about them, they're very active. Well, there's a family, the Ledbetters, and we know them personally. They're actually part of our homeschool co-op as well. So we attend church together. We're in the same homeschool co-op together, yada, yada, yada. Well, the matriarch of the family has had her cancer return, and she's been battling it, and it's a 6-figure bill, and the insurance they have doesn't cover most of it. So they've been doing a fundraiser, an ongoing fundraiser, and over half of it has been raised already, and the church is blasting out, hey, this is what's going on. We're trying to help, with one of our own. What can we do? Everybody give us ideas, yada, yada, yada. And so they're actively involved in this. And then they just yesterday sent out an email saying, hey, on top of what we're already all doing, the next 10 grand that comes in, we as a church will match out of our general fund. So if you were thinking about giving, every tithe that is made this coming Sunday goes towards that match and then goes towards this family. So I share that because that is exactly how my quote unquote utopia works.
I take it back. I take it back.
No, I'm never going to let you live this one down.
Said it.
You jackass.
Damn it.
No, I'm going to make you pay.
Oh God. In my utopia,
that's how this works.
I would have never used it.
Like the way I use my life as an example, because we do live out here in what they would consider bumfuck nowhere, Clark Fork, a town of 500 people. And we're 5 miles north of that. In a neighborhood of 100, I don't know, it's 80 houses, I think. The cops are an hour away. The ambulance is an hour away. We have to take care of our own roads. But roads, well, we take care of it. It's a couple $100 a year. Like most of us go to church. Most of us know each other. We do what you're supposed to do. Now, I'm not saying Joy, what you're supposed to do. I'm saying just in general, what humanity was designed to do. I give that as an example because when I talk about what I talk about and the way I envision the world, it was this way for a long time. And it could be this way again. Like, I don't pull these concepts and ideas out of my ass and just be like, well, if there was no government, life would be perfect. And I have no basis for that reasoning at all. No, instead, I'm actually like, look, I'm living it. We're as close to it as you can get in America out here. We have to take care of each other and ourselves. And we do for the most part. Perfect? No. But free? Liberty? Yeah, man, we got it. And because we are free and we mind our own business and we take care of ourselves, we are also then freed up and have the time and the resources and the mental space to also help others when they are in need. And we know them and we know how to help them best. So I'm really proud of my church for doing this. And we're, obviously Mary and I are planning to be a part of this fundraiser, and because we know the family and they're good people. And I know I'm the color commentary on here, but I mean it. I believe it. It's genuine. I live it. I do it. Mary and I, my wife, have made a lot of sacrifices to do what we do and live the way we've lived. And we mean it, so anyways, that's important. And Joy, you guys are in a tough spot. You are who the system is supposed to help.
And the system as designed, like it's revolving around state and state apparatuses inevitably metastasizes into what it is now, where people like you who are supposed to be helping are getting denied, and then the fat chick on the bench is buying rainbow sprinkles with your money. That's where the opposition to state apparatuses emanates from. Whereas what Paul described, it doesn't metastasize in the same way. It can't.
It's a mission creep thing. You know, these programs, when they first were created, were designed for exactly your case. But fast forward 50 years, and now they are something completely different. They're a Godzilla. They're out of the
right.
out of Pandora's box.
It has to.
And
go
the vast
that way.
majority of people who are on them are true blue. Because I use this term, and it's a harsh term, but it is true. They are true blue parasites. They are people who could be productive, but they are not.
And it has to go that way. It can only go that way when it's the state.
Correct. And that's also, again, why private charity is superior in every way. Because if I were to look at Joy's case, I go, yeah, this is a legit thing. You know, where like, okay, church, let's gather around this person and this family and love on them in different ways, whether that's money, whether that's meal train, whether that's yada, 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 or your community or your multi-generational family or whatnot. That's how you do it. And then you receive the direct benefit. And those of us who are helping, we receive the direct benefit of having our own skin in the game, not just pointing a gun at our neighbor and telling our neighbor they need to pay up, because that's what the state does. That's what government programs are. But again, if they're going to exist, that's exactly what this system is for. And ironically, poor Joy in them, they're being denied. Meanwhile, the overweight folks who are on SNAP and complaining about not being able to get their treats don't seem to be having any issues getting their benefits. I mean, there it is in a nutshell. There it is. Government in a nutshell. Ta-da.
Thank you, Joy, for the note.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you writing into us.
Let's move along here. You got something right now?
Yeah. We moved into this right after the break, but we did it. We did our thing out of order again, and that's okay because I do have something for you, Scott.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you know what time it is?
Get out of my chair here. Yep. All right. Do some push-ups.
Oh, yeah.
Do some lunges. Doing lunges.
I'll tape you up just like a coach should.
Doing calf raises. Russian twists.
Don't want you to pull a hammy. Definitely don't want you to rupture an Achilles.
I'm planking.
Oh. All right. It's time for Scott's shots.
Send it.
All right, Scott, I went in a different direction this week. Did you know that hit and run car crashes are on the rise nationwide, according to data from the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety? Locally, they are also on the rise. On a national level, 15% of all crashes reported to the police. Now, that's an important distinction, but it's what we got to work with. 15% of all crashes reported to police involve a driver who allegedly fled the scene. Interestingly enough, hit and run crashes accounted for 7% of all crash deaths and 25% of all pedestrian and cyclist fatalities. Now, what do you think the percentages are for hit and run crashes in the Coeur d'Alene area?
Okay, so this is not COVID related. Just so I'm clear.
No, not at all. I told you I went a different direction.
Okay, well, I just wanted to clarify because I didn't know if.
But there's a reason why. But I have a main point. I'm driving home, but we'll get there in a minute. Yeah.
Okay.
Answer my question.
I will. I was at first my brain was like, oh, they're gonna say that like a lot of drivers have long COVID, and so they're like in a brain fog. They're like leaving the scene. Like I was like, oh, how are they tying this into COVID? It's not.
No, so that would be funny though. No, actually, so it turns out that 50% of all of the fatalities were hit and run COVID deaths.
Right. So the question is, in North Idaho, what percentage of vehicular accidents are hit and run? Is that the question?
So the national average is 15% from since 2023.
Okay.
What is the average locally?
Ooh, it's 15% nationally. In Coeur d'Alene, I'm going to guess it's noticeably higher, and I'm going to say it's like 24%.
You monster. Right. You absolute monster. How on God's green earth? You are the champion, sir. I'm a little mad.
Did I get it on the nose?
Really on the nose.
Oh,
you
yeah,
son
baby.
of a bitch.
Why are you the way that you are?
Or maybe this one's better for you.
Inconceivable.
That was a blind guess.
How in the hell did you? All right, yeah. Here you go.
All the
of
COVID
the
stuff
reported,
I just know, but this one was a guess.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, it had to be noticeably higher or noticeably lower for this to be like notable, you know. And so I went with
honestly,
higher.
I don't even know why I even try. I don't even know why I try.
Okay, elaborate.
Maybe I need to have a diversity hire on my board of judges, and that'll change everything. I don't know.
The words.
Yeah, you did say the words, and they were spot on. Damn you, Scott. Well done. Like I'm equal parts impressed and irritated.
Impressitated.
I was so excited about this, dude. I even went away from the COVID topic just because I thought this will be fun.
I'm gonna get him.
All the throws away, and yeah. Of the crashes reported to police. So I do find that interesting, real quick, by the way, that in both cases, national and local, the caveat here, or the qualifier, I should say, is crashes reported to police, which means there's a whole lot of crashes out there. We know there's plenty of crashes out there that are not reported to police for one reason or another. You know, people drive with their license suspended, or if they don't have insurance, or if they are able to hit and run and somebody's like, oh, it's just a scratch, I'll fuck with it later. I'd be curious to know what the percent. Well, I mean, how do you even quantify that? Like, if you don't know because it's not reported to police, you just don't even know.
Yeah, right, unknowable.
But I'd be curious to know if somebody's been able to take a whack at those numbers. But anyways, I digress. Of the crashes reported to police within the city of Coeur d'Alene, roughly 20 to 24%. 24%. You just hit it right on the damn nose. Were hit and run crashes, according to city data. Since 2022. Hit and runs accounted for 27 to 30% of those crashes. So they've actually increased as time has increased. Now, the reason why I thought this was particularly funny and relevant to you is because I have a theory on this. Would you like to hear it?
No, that's it for today's show. No ID. Thank you very much for tuning in. Yeah, go right ahead.
I do love a good cliffhanger.
Right after this week-long break, we'll be back with Paul's answer.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
We should.
I'm on the edge of my seat here, dude. Come on.
I think it's because of all the Californians who moved here since COVID.
There it is.
Dude, there is absolutely a correlation. There is absolutely a correlation between the increase in, there has to be, between the hit and runs, the wide increase of the hit and runs, and the fact that since 2020, Idaho is basically Northern California. It's undeniable.
So basically,
good Idahoans, sir, we don't do that.
Right. It's the sociopathic, narcissistic Californians where other people don't truly exist, who can just peel out after running someone over.
Dude, it's those boomers who show up in their giant ass Oldsmobile Cadillacs,
don't
that
even
weigh
notice,
a billion pounds, and crush my Subaru by just driving 5 miles an hour, and it just munches up my Subaru, and they don't have a scratch on them or their car. And they're like, oh, did I hit you? Oh, just a fender bender. And it's like, yeah, but now my entire engine block is pushed in 4 inches. Thanks. Now, here's where it gets
I feel very blessed.
Interesting.
Whoops, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
It follows up with this. I thought this was interesting. It says about 50%, and I'm quoting temporary police chief Dave Hagar here. About 50% of our hit and run accidents are actually due to the fact that the driver was unaware they hit the other vehicle.
Oh, right.
And we are able to clear those with facilitating an information exchange. Boomers and Oldsmobiles.
One day Michael came in complaining about a speed bump on the highway. I wonder who he ran over then.
So he didn't know, you know? Yeah. Interesting theory. You're probably right. All right, let's
I'm right.
do a few more here.
I have the same confidence as the No Kings protesters.
Dunning-Kruger at work again. Well, tying in with Joy's note, you know, state funding of things they shouldn't. Here is, they're calling it high needs education, which is that a familiar term to you? High needs education, or is that new?
No, I thought all education was high needs.
I mean, to some extent it is, but here we go.
Educating students with high needs can cost districts tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes more. For smaller and rural schools, that can mean some tough choices. Idaho lawmakers passed a bill to help cover those costs, but not everybody is on board.
For Julie Whitman, her daughter has been a living testament to why public education is so important for students with special needs.
Not only is it critical for my daughter to attend school and get her education as well as the other services that she needs there, speech, OT, but I think just her being in the classroom gives those other students something that's really hard to teach.
But there's one problem. The cost to educate some high-needs students is too much for school districts, especially rural districts.
They can, upwards of $100,000 in some cases. And so especially in those tiny districts or a charter school, that can wipe out an entire year's budget.
Senate Bill 1288 looks to help, setting aside $5 million to support districts facing those high costs.
The school districts absorb this. If you're a rural small district or a charter, you really don't have the wherefore to take a bunch of money from the other students.
I think he might be high needs.
I know that was a good one. I think I can let's loop it. Yeah, sorry.
Wherefore to take a bunch of money from the other students.
If a student exceeds $30,000 to teach, districts will be able to pull from the $5 million state fund.
For this coming year.
That is so much money per student.
Well, and they never really quite specify what it is that costs so much money. And this could just be I could just be ignorant. I don't really know. Is it just more hours?
Oh, it's the specialists.
It's specialists.
Oh, no,
okay.
It's the specialists.
So
I guarantee you, it's
payroll.
It's administrator, staff, faculty, administration. It's all of that combined into this one giant expensive package. But specialists in particular are not cheap. And then the administrative costs, because everybody has to dot every I, cross every T, make sure everybody is protected in every way, shape, and form for liability. That is also expensive. You probably have your insurance policies are already pretty high when you're dealing with education or people's kids to begin with. That's going to go up astronomically when dealing with quote unquote high needs children. But specialists are going to be the bulk of it because, somebody who has 6 years and a master's in how to properly chew your food, for example, or speech therapy, for example, or things like that. They're commanding very high salaries.
People with high needs children have the opportunity to be taught by professionals on how to help their child achieve their potential and live the best life possible.
Is that our guy? That's Guthrie, isn't it?
I've seen people in every way, shape, or form all over the world going to the bathroom.
That's definitely
to be taught by professionals.
Handy, yes.
Districts also can turn to federal funding through the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. But Melissa Vion with Idaho Parents Unlimited says it often falls short of covering the full cost of services.
We see this particularly important when we have families with multiple students that have the same disabilities within the family. In a smaller district, that can just completely immobilize a district.
The bill passed the House and Senate floor, but not without some pushback from lawmakers. Some of the money to go to the High Needs Fund was taken from the Driver's Education Fund. That's a move lawmakers disagreed with.
Are we going to just completely gut an entire program that everybody in the state is using for one small group of people, or are we going to do the responsible thing and just not let this happen this year?
But for parents,
I mean, I can make a pretty good argument that the state running any sort of driver's education program would be a great example of something that could be eliminated entirely. Driving education programs do not teach you how to drive.
I mean, if judging by how people drive on the road, I think we know the track record of such programs.
Well, and you use the words track record. Truly, the only way to really learn how to drive is racing school. And specifically driver's ed. You do not come out of driver's ed knowing how to drive an automobile.
But for parents fighting for their child's education, it's about more than dollars and budgets.
Families don't want to get
but
caught
they're not
up.
the ones footing the bill. Sure, that's easy to say. It's not about the money. It's always about the money, especially when it comes to education or law enforcement or fire. Those three things always. They always ask for more. There's always a levy. There's always a bond. There's always more taxes. Their budgets always get bigger. And the moment anybody actually brings up like, hey, how much do you need? Does it ever end? And they go, well, it's not about the money. It's about the children, or it's about safety. I mean, the moment they use words children and safety, grab your wallet. They want more.
Won't somebody please think of the children?
We all just pay our fair share.
Right? It's about more than dollars and budgets.
Families don't want to get caught up in all of that funding, right? And they just want the supports that their students deserve.
For them, passing this bill could make all the difference.
Right?
The impact that these students with really high needs have on the other students in the classroom in a really positive way, because they instill a sense of compassion and acceptance and understanding about kids that are different than themselves.
Right.
Okay. So then, of course, the other argument is socialization. Well, they need to be socialized, so it's worth $100K a year. Here, you know what helps solve at least a portion of this issue?
Hit and runs?
Vouchers.
Oh.
ESAs. Hit and runs.
Sorry, I was wrong.
Depends on the context. Actually, the hit and runs might be why we have more high need students. Scott, did you ever think about that? Give myself a bell.
I considered
Sad
it.
bell.
My hand hovered over my bell, but then I was like,
Don't worry, Scott. I'll congratulate
do
me
it.
for you.
Yeah. Okay. You see, Paul is going to bust a tendon patting himself on the back.
Oh, my Achilles. My other one. Hey, you could say that self-congratulation is an Achilles heel of mine. Oh, that was terrible. I'm sorry. Edit that shit out.
I will not.
So serious thoughts for a minute. There is a market for, again, the answer is the free market. Now that won't happen overnight. It can't happen overnight. The way the system is built, there's a lot of earth moving that needs to be. But if we could do it overnight and scrap huge sections or all of state-run education, I guarantee you that almost overnight there would be foundations, organizations, businesses that would fill the need here. There are professionals out there who know what they're doing. There are administrators with experience. There are specialists who have trained for their whole lives to be able to help high needs kids and their parents, and high needs parents and their kids, and they would fill the need. There would, in a free market, it would definitely be there. Now there would be expense to it, but before we get to Paul's Utopia, while we're in the middle of getting from here to there,
Hold on. Show
vouchers,
title.
Yep, it's got to be.
Paul's Utopia.
It has to be now. I might even give you some show art for it.
Ooh. You know what? If I'm going to contribute monetary value, you have to contribute time and talent value.
Show art.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that really tracks, because as a Jew, for you, contributing money to your own show is like going to be the hardest thing ever. It's hilarious. And for me, a non-artistic Italian, it's going to be a challenge. So we are challenging ourselves in very unique and personal ways. Love it.
Yeah.
So
go on.
We would actually get closer to this resolution, though, with vouchers and ESAs and being able to have school choice. Tax credits are a good start. Unfortunately, the HB 93, it's a good start, but it's got a long ways to go. If you could even just divert all of the money that goes towards the least efficient way of schooling our kids, which is the system we have right now, where we throw billions every year at the industrial educational complex. And I use the term education very loosely, obviously. The state-run indoctrination camps really is what they are. They look like prisons. They operate like prisons, and they produce NPCs just like prisons.
Yes, they do.
And call it socialization, I might add. But if parents were free to keep their own money, first off, not have it stolen in the first place, and then B, have access to educational savings accounts, vouchers. Well, now you can pick and choose where you send your kids. And now the opportunity to send them to different places crops up because there is a market need for it. There's an incentive. So I go, oh, okay, there's a community here with high need students, and each of them have 20 grand at their disposal between their own funds, between ESAs, between vouchers, between whatever. Okay, we're here for this. We can help you guys. And everybody makes money, but we also serve a need, which is exactly how free market capitalism works. Everybody likes to shit on it, but I like having a phone. I like having internet. I don't care if I'm giving my money to a billionaire. That billionaire put satellites in the sky and allowed me to have internet in Clark Fork. So if that same billionaire is like, you know what? Charter academies for high need students. There's an incentive now. Hell yeah, let's do it. People are amazing. The market finds a way. It's not a perfect solution. It's not a panacea. There is no such thing as either of those. But that would be the direction we ought to go instead of ripping money from other stuff. However, I will say if we're ripping money from other programs, the driver's ed is kind of funny. Like, did they throw darts at a board?
Yeah.
Or did they play like budget bingo? Oh, budget bingo. Write that one down.
That's another good show.
That's got to be but not for this one though, because we don't talk about the budget that much. We got to save that one for a different, but then there you go. Budget bingo with a bingo card. But dude, it's like they played budget bingo or threw darts for this one, where they just were like, well, what can we cut that half the state won't yell at us for? And finally somebody said, what about driver's ed? It's a very narrow demographic. It's 14 and 15-year-olds and they don't vote. I don't know.
I was just thinking when you were saying like, the socialization is like this very stated goal, very important. Like SOCIALISM, delete-ization.
I'll tell you what, when as a homeschooler family, and most of our family and our friends are also homeschoolers, and it's just the moment somebody talks about socialization, my eyes roll into the back of my head, and I just go, tell me you don't know anything about education, either system, the state-run indoctrination camps or homeschooling, because if I wanted to replicate socialization for my kids that they're going to get at state-run indoctrination camps, well, then I'll just buy a set of lockers, shove my son into one of them, make a mess of the other one, steal some shit from my daughter's locker, tease them, bully them, make fun of them for what they wear, call my son Four Eyes, tell my daughter she's stupid for wanting to be an author, give them busy work and homework that has no bearing on life whatsoever, make sure they can't leave the house for 8 hours, but they do get 2 recesses and a shitty lunch. Also force them to interact with nobody older or younger than them by 3 years, because that's how life works.
Yeah, only surrounded by peers of your exact age. Also, you should consider giving your daughter a pack of Parliament lights to go smoke in the bathroom.
Yeah, well, we did put up the Narcan box in the hallway.
Sure.
So just in case one of our students ODs, we can take care of that.
You can also consider replacing your Gadsden flag in your living room with a trans-Maoist flag.
Oh, yeah, we did it already. And every morning, our kids have to pledge allegiance to everything.
Well, guess who is pledging allegiance to a new sheriff?
Sean Weir is officially the new Shoshone County Sheriff. He was sworn in yesterday. This is the county's 3rd sheriff since October, since Holly Lindsay and William Eddy both resigned. Our partners with the Coeur d'Alene.
By the way, speaking of contributing to the hit and run statistics, atta girl, Holly Lindsay.
And William Eddy both resigned. Our partners with the Coeur d'Alene Press say Weir will prioritize the department's budget, retaining staff, recruiting, and rectifying the county jail. Weir will serve in his new role until at least coming up in January.
Yeah, rumor has it that Holly Lindsay has long COVID and she fled the scene in a brain fog. So it wasn't really her fault.
What happened is her mask slipped off while she was alone driving, and it fell. And so she was trying to grab it, and before she could look up and see what was going on, she hit some stuff, and then was like, oh no.
Now,
if I check on this, I might also get COVID. And so she put her mask back on and drove away.
If she had just been wearing 2 masks like they told her, it wouldn't have been such a problem. She could have waited till her destination to fish the other one out of her floorboards.
For anybody who is counting, Shoshone County has had Shoshone County sheriffs have had an average lifespan of 2 months.
Yikes!
3 sheriffs in 6 months. Mr. Weir has his work cut out for him. I wonder who was he? Did it say? I apologize. I wasn't listening as good as maybe I should have. Was he appointed, or because a sheriff is an electable position? At least it's supposed to be. So I'm curious to know if it was a special election or if they appointed him.
Sean Weir is officially the new Shoshone County sheriff. He was sworn in yesterday.
It doesn't say. Yeah,
Okay.
that's, you know what? Let's look it up.
No, it did. Okay, I didn't think it said. So if he was appointed, then that I think would have been Shoshone County commissioners who would have done that.
Selected for the appointment by the Shoshone County Board of Commissioners after a series of interviews.
So that's how that went. So then it's essentially it's an interim position that he will hold for 8 months unless there's another shooting.
Or hit and run.
Or somebody gets lost in the woods this October.
Yeah, maybe we should get a no ID betting pool going on how long he'll last.
Dude, I'm in. Oh, wait. Well, if we were in Washington, I'm in. We can't. No, gambling's illegal,
betting,
Scott.
No gambling. No gambling.
Maybe if we petitioned the state of Idaho to do Shoshone Sheriff-themed scratch tickets, then it'd be allowable.
Yes, not only allowable, the state would use our money to actively market it to us.
Hey, degenerates, do you need more degeneracy in your life? Well, yeah, I sure do like poker. No, not like that.
No, please. Let's see. Let's do, I'm sick of the kratom. No. Trans. No. I'm sick of all this stuff. What's the final we should do here?
You know what else we have? The article I sent you about the town hall in Sandpoint.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Education. So why don't you take the lead here? Because this was from the Coeur d'Alene Press, and you had a couple of comments about their coverage of this very special appearance by one of the important people that you just mentioned, Debbie Critchfield.
So 3 of our glorious Supreme Chalupa leaders graced Sandpoint this last Saturday with their presence. Representative Mark Souter, who is Legislative District 1 Seat A, Senator Jim Woodward, who is our single senator that we get from Legislative District 1, and Debbie Critchfield, who is the state superintendent of public, now they're calling it public instruction, by the way, not public education. I don't know when that change happened, but that's the title she's been getting now. So Supreme Leader of Instruction, Debbie Critchfield.
Yes, and if you recall,
they were at a town hall
as the Supreme Leader. If you, it's been a few shows now, but we covered her receiving the giant cardboard check from some other government apparatus from a few years ago, while she, in her unmasked in her red business suit, was surrounded by a bunch of teenagers, every single one of whom was in a black face mask. That very same Debbie Critchfield, ghoul.
Yes. Yeah, a picture is worth 1,000 words or more, and that one was just the state in a nutshell. She was in a bright red pantsuit, looking splendid. Her hair was perfect, no mask. There she is in all her glory, and behind her are rows of high school students dressed in complete black with masks on, black masks, as they are singing some sort of anthem. It wasn't the national anthem or the state anthem. It was some sort of freedom song. Probably that, yeah.
It was a little muffled because they were singing through their face masks, but I could make out the words.
Yeah. So they were carted off to the gulags later for failure to enunciate the national anthem.
Anyway, that very
so Critchfield is running for re-election.
Yeah,
she's running for re-election, of course. So is Mark Souter and Jim Woodward. Now, of course, notably absent was the one good legislator that we do have from District 1, that's Seat B, and that's Cornell Razor. He actually is a conservative. I don't agree, as usual, I agree with probably half but half piss versus 70% piss. That Mark Souder, Debbie Critchfield, Jim Woodward, they're like 95% piss. So half with Cornell Razor, I'll go with. But he was, of course, not there and not invited. He was not invited. He was. It's so wild, dude. First off, you have a town hall with your district's legislators, and one of the three are not invited. And it just so happens he's the lone conservative of the group, by the way. The town hall played out exactly how you would expect. There were about 130 people there, and 125 of them were angry leftist boomers. I mean, and in the picture, it's so perfect because they look angry. They're angry leftist boomers at this town hall. And of course, the topic du jour is education. And these angry leftist boomers are big mad that we're only throwing $4 billion at state-run indoctrination camps instead of $5 billion at state indoctrination camps.
And guess what would happen if we were throwing $5 billion at it?
They'd ask for 6. Did I win? They asked Paul. Did I win that one?
Yes. The North Idaho NAACP judge is nodding feverishly.
Oh, thank God. I'm 1 for 3 so far. I'm 1 for 3 today. So if I was a professional baseball player, I'd be
Hall of Fame.
I'd be a great batting
Hall
average.
of Fame.
Hall of Fame, baby.
All right, go on.
So the budget comes up and it's all about my schools and blah, blah, blah. And so why I sent this article was for 2 reasons. A, this town hall played out exactly how you would expect in Sandpoint, which is just a leftist mecca full of angry leftist boomer idiots. And so it was just like, it was a parody of itself. These people are caricatures of themselves and they don't even realize it. And then number 2 was the way Souder, Critchfield, and Woodward phrased everything, and then the media was complicit in it. So they're asked like, okay, well, they're up there talking in the town, and the regular people are asking them questions about budget. And Critchfield says, yeah, so our budget hasn't changed, and wink, wink, that's a win for us this year. I know it doesn't sound like a win, but because of who's in charge, this is a win. Then if asked if in the midst of budget cuts throughout the state government, if any cuts are planned on being made to the $50 million that have been earmarked for private and homeschool programs, quote, the answer is no, Idaho Senator Jim Woodward from Sagal said. There was an effort, but we still have the same legislative makeup that we had a year ago when that was first put into law. Read, basically, no, because Idaho is wrong. The makeup of the legislative, it's too conservative. It's wrong. So
and
wink,
Woodward
wink,
is
hint,
Woodward
hint,
is labeled a freaking Republican.
Yes, he's part of the majority. In theory, theoretically, he is supposed to be a part of the majority party that, on a partisan line, by the way, voted HB 93 into law. But Woodward has been against it from the start, but claims to be a Republican.
There was an effort to continue extracting maximum taxes from people, but unfortunately, we have the same legislative makeup that's made up of mostly the party that I claim to belong to, and unfortunately,
that I'm supposed to be a part of.
And so unfortunately, much to our everlasting chagrin, we do have to give a tiny fraction of people's own tax money back to them.
Yeah. Another person asked about the Lake Pend Oreille High School, which I don't even know what Lake Pend Oreille High School is. Like, it's not Sandpoint High School, so I'm not exact. It's a district. It's an alternative high school. That's all it says. Just an alternative high school. Okay, WTF? What does that mean? We don't know.
That's where they send the bad kids so that they can have cigarette breaks and call their teachers by their first names.
That would be my guess. That was my first guess, knowing what I know about the world. And it says, quote, "We need to keep that school open," one woman said. So whose
kids are all degenerates.
And probably she has great grandkids now. I don't. But here's where this really gets good. Noting the town hall was not the place for this particular discussion, Lake Pend Oreille School District Board Vice Chair Dave Demers had the discussion anyways. That's my part. I just added that. But said the program has the district's support, but limited state funding has caused the program to run at a loss. Your program was running at a loss, regardless of state funding or not. That's the part these people don't understand. Your program is in the red. You don't operate with a profit. In fact, none of it operates with profit. It all runs in the loss. It's all in the red, always, all the time. By definition, They don't generate anything of value. Theoretically, they're supposed to generate value by turning out critically thinking human beings who can work a job, do basic math, read at least an 8th grade level. Of course, we know they're failing at all of those metrics. Every objective metric, state-run indoctrination camps are failing. But their very own administrator doesn't have the wherewithal to understand the distinction that they run at a loss all the time anyways. But the way they phrase it and the way the media phrases it is, without state money, we're running at a loss. No, you've always run at a loss. Now you're just not getting all the dollars you want. Then Demers says, he goes on to say, even though, well, he said we're not going to have that conversation, he says, quote, "The state has never funded public education and special ed the way it should, even though the Idaho Supreme Court said it should 20 years ago. The other side doesn't want to do that for some reason.
He doesn't know
And
why.
we're in a situation right now where we are in the hole." One resident in attendance said that was stupid.
Quote
kid you not.
unquote.
That's in this.
It's quoted. Yeah.
And it goes on like that for some time. So you get the idea. That was the town hall. That was what they did at the town hall. Those are your glorious Supreme Chalupa leaders talking to the boomer generation, the wealthiest generation in history, I might add, who complains that state-run indoctrination camps aren't getting enough money, but they don't want to pay any more for it. And this is the same demographic that complains about wanting more Social Security, exemptions on their property taxes because they're on fixed incomes. But those of us who are the poorest, the young people, working families, it's okay for us to pay for a system we don't even want.
It's better than
and that a lot of us
okay.
don't
It's
even use.
necessary. It has to happen. Otherwise, we're going to come take you and take you away from your kids. I do love the part where
In fact, it's the price we pay for living in civilization, because the most civilized thing you can do is point a gun at your neighbor and make them pay for the stuff you want.
It reminds me of the Demers quote about the other side doesn't want to do that for some reason. Totally reminds me of the of Wintro going like, "Oh, we should pay our fair share," and then Todd going, "Well, that phrasing is no good," and her being like, "Well, what? Like, so in other words, you don't know what the other side thinks. Is that what you're telling me?"
And I mean, and the two representatives and the superintendent who were there just sat there and nodded their heads, and they're like, "Yep, it's the other side," even though technically all three of them are Republicans.
Right.
They ran as Republicans. They will be in the Republican primaries.
Right. So what other side? The side that thinks that so I guess they don't mean political party. They mean the side that thinks that there should be cuts made to public school budgets, but they don't know the reasons that those people want them cut. It's just for some reason. We don't know why.
Yep. Souder in particular he's impressive in all the wrong ways. He has almost a 0 score for both freedom and for finance, for spending with the IFF. And again, I don't use the IFF for everything, and they're not God, but they do rate every bill that comes out, and they rate every legislator on how they vote on those bills. And they do have an open to the air, open source metric system. You can go on and see what their metrics are, and their metrics are they're conservative. You know, they have to check or not check certain boxes one way or the other. And it's a pretty solid index. And Souder is actually behind almost every Democrat in the state. This dude's contribution has been to vote yes for every tax increase, yes for every agency, no to every tax cut, no to everything that would give back freedom. And his 2 claims to fame for this last legislative session so far are 2 failed bills, both of which would cost us more money, depending on who you are. He wanted to add $5 to vehicle registration fees, but the money was going to go to ISP, so it was for a good cause. Yeah, in fact, they complain about the Idaho Freedom Foundation with this one too. He goes, also discussed was a failed bill that would have brought regulation of private for-profit sewer utilities under the Idaho Public Utilities Commission oversight. So basically, the state of Idaho wants to tell private utility companies what to do, but it garnered a negative net rating from the Idaho Freedom Foundation. So that led to its defeat on the House floor. It says the bill got hung up on politics.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
It's just politics.
Yeah. Another bill that got hung up on politics was one that would have boosted Idaho State Police trooper pay to help law enforcement agency compete with nearby states. The bill was set to add $5 to vehicle registration fees. This is Souder's claim to fame. More money out of our pockets to pay the road pirates more money to harass us on the road.
Right. And it's, and if we,
and the other thing Mark Souder wanted to do, harsher penalties for those who didn't pay their traffic ticket fines. He said Idaho has $23 million in outstanding fines. Quote, I think it's good public policy. If you're speeding and you get a ticket, you actually have to pay that ticket, noting that it would help close the budget gaps, et cetera, et cetera. I say no. Speeding tickets are racketeering and extortion. So fuck off.
Well, and anybody who opposes any of that stuff, they're just cynical. It's just politics. My motives are pure. Opposition to my bills, it's politics.
Correct. The NRI does this. The North Idaho Republicans, this is tactic number one. When conservatives are trying to vie for a school board or any sort of position, NRI says the conservatives are trying to dominate or take over. But when NRI runs candidates for the same positions and they're trying to sweep, it's simply saving NIC or bringing back common sense.
Yes.
Or reasonable governance.
Yes,
It's
their
total
motives
malarkey.
are pure and their opponents are monsters.
Correct.
Right?
Well, I think we've probably set a record this week. I think this might be our longest. Oh, no. We're still number 2 in the length of show behind the Speaking of NIC, episode number 1. We've yet to top it, and we failed again this week.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Gave a lot of value.
Thank you very much for checking out episode number 22 of No ID. We do try to bring the value with every episode that we produce. And if you agree with that assessment and by the way, if you don't, man, it's just politics. Please go to noidshow.com and return value, time, talent, or treasure. Our show runs on value for value, the very polar opposite of most of that which we have been discussing heretofore. All right, Paul's already checked out for the week, so I'll finish the
No,
intro.
I was waiting for you to sign off.
Well, I got in order for the timing to be
That
perfect,
was the...
I've got 1 minute left on my bed here, so I've got to fill some air.
You didn't tell me that. I thought you were going to say, all right, from the, Post Falls Pavilion, I'm Scott, and I was going to do my thing.
You'll hear it in a second. It's got to be timed with the end of the bed. So I have the little bar, the little countdown bar that I'm looking at, and you don't. So it's really it's my fault.
The important thing is that you've seen it my way, and we know that it's your fault.
Paul's right. So until episode number 20,
my Achilles.
episode number 23 of your No ID show from the aforementioned Post Falls, I'm Scott.
And I'm Paul. Taxation is theft. Well, if there was no government, life would be perfect, and I have no basis for that reasoning at all.